Hey everybody, I'm Adrian and this is Reviewed. In today's video we're going to take a look at Stronghero's Splendid PLA. This is a gradient filament. That's rainbow PLA filament, 1.75 millimeter, 1 kilogram spool. It has a silk finish to it, and it's pretty easy to work with. It wasn't real sensitive to temperature, not a lot of stringing. I mean, just it was very easy to print with. A few things to show you. Did the Forbidden Wash Tower. You can see it did a couple color changes. This is really my only complaint with this filament, is that the only way you're going to get a significant shift in colors, or more than one shift in colors, is if you print something that's pretty large. Something like this, just you can see it started out with kind of a dark green blue color and shifted eventually to like a really pale green. And it looks really good, honestly, and for this model it worked out really well, I think, because I really only wanted a subtle shift in color, but if you want something that has a lot more of a shift, it just really didn't work real well. As another example, we have the Genie bottle, and same thing, it started out with the green at the bottom, gave a little bit of a fade, and then really stayed at this kind of orange-yellow the whole way up. This was printed with 4 perimeters, no infill, so I mean it didn't use a ton of filament, but you can see it really also didn't shift a whole lot of color. Again, I think it came out really well. It's a really nice filament. The 0.16 layer height, I mean, it's really smooth. It's fairly silky. This was printed at 195 degrees on CR10 Mini. This one was actually printed at 220 degrees on a CR10, and this one definitely has more of a gloss finish to it. And the reason this one's printed at 220 is my CR10 has a hardened steel nozzle on it, and I found that 220 is about as low as I can go and still get good extrusion. It did have a few spots where it had some under extrusion, but this was printed probably 2 months, 3 months ago. It was with an older version of Cura, and it did the under extrusion after long combing moves, and this was a version of Cura before they added the max comb distance with no retraction. And I think that was really the problem with it. The nozzle would take a long path across the infill, and by the time it got to where it was going to do this outer layer, it had dropped some pressure in the nozzle, and it just needed to prime it again. But overall, I think it came out really good. It's a really interesting model. I think the filament came out great. It looks really good. So overall, definitely like the filament. Like I said, it's really easy to print. It comes out really nice finish to it. You can see the difference in the silkiness and the glossiness depending on what temperature that you print at. You can see from this, it does do a decent number of changes. Stronghero says it does 3 to 5 color changes, and honestly that's probably about right, maybe a little bit more. What I was really noticing on this is that some of the colors, it's very short, and then other colors like this orange color, it just has a ton of it on there, so you have to print something really big to get past this orange color. So I really wanted something that did more color changes, and I looked around. There were a couple filament brands that did, but to be honest, for my budget, they were a little expensive. They were probably $40 to $50 a spool, maybe some of them a little bit cheaper, but I just really didn't want to spend that much money. And then about 2 months ago, maybe mid-May, Stronghero announced that they were redoing their Splendid filament, that they were going to have it do a lot more color changes. So I was really excited about that. I was following them on Facebook, checking it out, waiting to see when it came out, and so I ended up finding it on Amazon's website. It showed as unavailable. I kept checking it, and then finally one day it came up for pre-sale. So I snatched one up, and it said it would take about a week to ship, and next thing I know, 2 days later, I actually have a package waiting for me, and here it is. So compared to the old Splendid, the box is different. The other one used to come in just a plain brown cardboard box. This one, a little different, a little nicer box. I've already opened this one, so this isn't brand new. But clear spool, that's the first obvious change. Clear spool so that you can see the color changes a little bit better. As you can see, the big difference is that the new filament does a lot more color changes, and the colors are more vibrant. The old filament, you can see, more subdued colors. depending on what you were printing, that actually works really well. But if you want to do bright colors, it really wasn't a good filament for it. So I got the new one, did a little testing with it, and I reprinted the Forbidden Watchtower. And take this off. As you can see, definitely brighter, more vibrant color to it. It kind of looks like it didn't do as much color change, but if you really look at it, this was really just kind of one color change, and even then this wasn't really fully done shifting to the green color. This one actually went from a red to a yellow and then into a green, so it really did about twice as many color changes. As far as the quality of the print, this one actually is a little bit more silky and a little bit more glossy, which is something that Stronghero said the new filament had, or was. It was just as easy to print, same settings. This was actually the exact same file that I sliced probably 2.5 months ago, something like that. It actually did the same under extrusion in the exact same spots. There again, I think it was because of the long combing moves. But it came out really well. I think it's a really interesting model. It looks really good when you put a little tea light in the top of it, you know, a little night light. So my wife loves that. So very interesting model. Like I said, really happy with that. And so then I reprinted the Genie bottle. And as you can see, that one, same thing, definitely had a lot more color movement. I actually printed this one immediately after printing this one, so it actually shifted directly from this green to this. Shifted to a darker green, and then into a blue, and then a really pretty blue at the very top there. Same settings, it's 0.16 layer height, 195 degrees on these, 4 perimeters, no infill. Just came out really, really pretty. Just a really nice model and a very nice print. I did modify the stopper a little bit. There were 2 versions, and honestly neither of them fit really well. I took the larger version and I sliced about 4 millimeters off the bottom, and it sits in there a little better. The other one had a tendency to lean to one side or another. So, like I said, there's the 2 models. I did notice on the original Splendid at 195, it came out fairly flat. It has a silkiness, it has a little bit of a gloss to it, but you can see the 2 side by side. Printed with the same settings, same temperature, same printer, everything. This one came out much shinier, much more silky. And so it had me wonder, because the difference from 220 to 195 as far as the gloss and the silkiness was pretty noticeable. So I decided to print some Moai heads in different temperatures, and this is what I came up with. And this one, yes, was at 190. Same thing on the CR10 Mini, 4 perimeters, is the same temperature, same speed, same everything. And but at 5 degrees cooler though, 195 versus 190. And for some reason, this one actually came out quite a bit more silky and glossy, and I don't know why. So I printed the next one at 205, and same thing. It actually looks really similar to the 190, and then I printed one at 220, and same thing. It came out pretty much identical. It's really hard to see a difference in them. The 195 to 205, there's maybe a little bit of a difference in the gloss and in the silkiness. The main thing I did notice is that the 205 and the 220 both started popping a little bit on the outer layer, and it's really hard to see, but there are some imperfections in the print that really start kind of at the shoulder and up onto the head. They're not bad, but they're definitely noticeable. Like I said, the 220 did it as well, so I wasn't sure. It's obviously the same, section of filament, same color, so I reprinted another one at 190 again, and this one printed fine, just like the original did. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. I was thinking maybe it was the filament as I was getting further into the spool. In fairness, I did open the spool 2.5 months ago, but it's been sitting in a sealed container with desiccant pouches, so it shouldn't be moisture. I think for some reason the original Splendid just didn't like this higher temperature. I'm going to try putting it in a dryer, dry it out a little bit, and do some more test prints, and I'll post an update once I get that done and just see if it makes any difference. But either way, same thing, really, really pretty print. It's really silky and smooth, very smooth finish to this filament. I like it quite a bit actually. So really, both of them I think are great filaments. If you're looking for a glossy, silky, finish in a gradient filament, I think they're both good choices. It just depends on what you're trying to print. If you want something that's a little more subtle, more subdued colors with less color shift, then the original Splendid is probably the way to go. If you want more vibrant colors and more color shift, then the new one, I'd say. I checked with Stronghero, with Tommy Kong, and he said that they will be offering both filaments, that they're not going to discontinue this one, but I'm sure that's subject to change. For now, you can get this one on Amazon. It's actually on sale right now, Amazon Prime for about 20 bucks, and the new one on Amazon Prime is about $25. So really, honestly, to me, that's a really good deal, really good price. I'll link to both of them in the description of the video. I'll also do links of all the models and everything. So, as I said, I think they're both great filaments, and I definitely recommend either one if you want to do some printing with a gradient filament. And that's it. And thanks for watching the video, and happy printing, guys.